Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about this situation. This is the Urban Decay Naked Cyber Palette. Can you see the packaging? There. Isn't it fab? This whole circuit system reminds me of the film, I'm going to show my age now. Who remembers Tron from back in the 80s, I think it was? Loved that film. It's all circuit boards and everything. Anyway, so this recently launched in Ireland and I wanted to do a review on it. But rather than doing a first impressions, I've been trying it out kind of behind the scenes and I have some thoughts. When it comes to Urban Decay, you know yourself, they really do pack a punch when it comes to their palettes. You expect high shine, high metallics, high impact, high pigmentation. This is different in that okay, let me show you inside first. Whoa. I knew that was going to happen. This is the brush that it comes with. It's a little double-ended. We'll use that because it's actually very good. This is the palette here. You can see that I have moulded it. And you can see that this end is quite neutral, pastel-y almost. And then you can see here the more interesting side of the palette. In the palette, you get 3 matte shades. Now, let me just talk about my issue with this. So this is a matte shade, this is a matte shade, and then this is a matte shade. So you can see that they're quite warmy, peachy toned, especially this is obviously terracotta shade. Stunning, but I feel like they could have added in maybe a neutral toned matte. I feel like the mattes are lovely, but when I use the palette I tend to do the same thing with those 3 shades, and when I was looking up different YouTube reviews, most of the girls that I was watching were doing the same thing, so you're quite limited with the mattes, because I always do like to bring a matte into my crease, and when you've only 3 there's so much you can do. I'm going to just swatch them first and then I'm going to show you how I've been using this palette. Do these 3 first. That's in there in the fingers. So you can see the matte shade, it's very pale. You can barely see that. Oh wait, there. Kind of see the shift there. We're going to go into the next 3. Isn't that shade beautiful? Even that one is really, really nice. That one is a little bit disappointing. That's again the matte shade, but it goes onto the eye a lot more opaquely. So Urban Decay, whenever they sent this, we did a masterclass with them and they were shown how to do it. And of course, you watch a makeup artist using a palette and you're just oh my god, it was actually gorgeous, watching somebody using this live. But then when I went to use it, I was I can't do what they're doing. So I'm coming at this as a consumer. If I'm not a makeup artist, I don't have any kind of training or anything like that. This is just what I would do myself with a palette. So that's those second 3 shades there. Let's go into the next 3. Look at that metallic shade. And then I love this one as well. This shade here is Static, and I don't know if you can see the purpley blue shift to it. And then this one is called Call It. That has a pinky purpley shift. And the last 3 shades, wait to see this one at the end. Look. And then this one is one of my favourites. That's the shade Override, and then Y3K. Why am I doing it this way? Why am I not doing it this way? Look at that Y3K shade. I would buy that on its own. And then you have this one as fab. This one's a little bit watery compared to those 2. And that's the palette swatch. What I found in my experience is that the shades do go on better either with my finger or with a wet brush. When they're dry, apart from the mattes, obviously they go on so smoothly, so seamlessly, blend like a dream. But the statins and the shimmers and the duochromes, they just take a little bit more work. One of the main issues that other people had with this palette is that they felt it didn't have enough impact, didn't pack enough punch, and I think there was a lot of expectation when it came to this palette, because I think we all love a duochrome, just a bit more interesting, and we love an L shimmer, and especially when it comes to Urban Decay, that's kind of what they're known for. This palette though, I feel that it's for those who were around for Y2K. What I'm going to do is stop waffling and I'm going to do what everybody else has done in terms of going in with this shade here. Wait, this one, it's called Gadget. There, sorry, this is really hard to say. I don't know why I'm having issues today doing things backwards. Just in the crease, and as I said, with there only being 3 matte shades and with them all being kind of warm toned, you are quite limited in what you can do with them, because I feel Static is a silvery shimmer, and I don't know, it just would have been great to have maybe a little purpley moment when it came to a matte shade. for the blendage. I hope you can see this. In the mirror here you can see this a lot more pigmented, but I'm not sure. I'm trying to get the camera settings right on this lovely day. I think I want to use that shade Y2K because, will I use Y2K or Cyberspace? I think they're my two favourite shades. That one's Y3K and that's Cyberspace. You see this has like a teal kind of shift, and then this has like almost a lime green one. Okay, I'm going to take the shade Bite on that same brush, just a small amount. Oh my god, it's really got great colour payoff. But you can see that these are just so easy to work with. If you have no skills, like myself, or very basic skills, you'll be able to make it work. And you can, as I said, just pick up the smallest amount and then build up the opacity. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm going to show this, I'm going to show you Y3K when it's applied dry and then when it's applied wet, just so you can kind of see the difference. And I'm going to use the other end of the Urban Decay brush. This is Y3K when it's dry, applied dry. There's just not much happening there at all. Usually duochrome eyeshadows almost have a wet feel to them, but this, like when I apply it with my finger, it feels quite wet and quite soft, but applied with that brush when it's dry, it's just not happening. So what I'm going to do is, and I've learned, is to apply, so you get the Urban Decay, what's it called, All Nighter setting spray, forgot the name for a second, and I'm just going to give the brush a good wet because you need it. I've tried spritzing it like once or twice and it just wasn't enough, so I'm going to show you now what it looks like wet. See, that's better. So that's Y3K applied wet and then dry. Hope you can see the difference. Now if you don't have a setting spray, don't worry, you can just use water. I'm going to just apply a little bit more just so I can even that out on the other side. See, that's what I wanted out of the shade dry. I'm going to take another brush, I know, it's because I wet them, with the setting spray, and then use that Cyberspace shade down there, just to bring it underneath. So this is the one that has like that green shift to it. I'm going to take not a bot, that one, I'm just on my pinky finger as my highlight. They just are that little bit harder to work with compared to previous like shimmers that have come out with the different Urban Decay palettes. Something else that I've noticed is when you apply the shade Y2K wet, it looks really metallic-y and shimmery, but then it dries quite flat. Like you can still see the shift. So I have now applied, I hope this is not too washed out, I've now applied a wet layer of Y2K on both eyes and I've let it dry. Now I'm just going to go in with another layer of it on one eye when it's wet, just so you can see the difference. See? It's like the blue really comes through when it's wet. See the difference there? So what I'm not going to leave that now for a sec and let it dry. I'm looking at myself in the mirror going, am I seeing it now change? Like it is more pigmented on this side than on this side. And you can see, I think you can see that the blue has kind of settled a little bit more and the purpley kind of undertone is coming through. It's a shame. I still think it's gorgeous, but I just think it's a little bit disappointing that it seems to dry a slight different colour. Especially if like this is what you want and you're like, oh my god, this is my look, and then like changes slightly to this. Listen, I think it's a minimal. I don't mind it, but for those who want like just more impact, I think that it's an issue to consider. Okay, let me just put a bit of mascara on. Mascara is on and it's the Urban Decay Perversion one. It's alright, not my favourite. My thoughts on this is that there are a few shades in here that I have been reaching for and that I think a lot of people would like. So we have like Bite, Override only when it's wet, Y2K, Static is a lovely one, Cyberspace, I'm like, what is that? And the mattes. There are just a few kind of wishy-washy shades that no matter what I did with them, I just couldn't get them to just give me enough to make me want to go back and use them, do you know? In total, I think the shades are okay. I think Bite just stands out a mile, but then it does work with shades like this and like with a couple of the orangey ones. As I said, I wish they had like a purpley one or even like a taupe one where you could kind of blend those out a little bit. It could definitely do with more mattes. It could definitely do with the shimmery shades performing better when they're dry and not necessarily having to go in with 2 layers while they're wet to get kind of this colour payoff. But I think for those who might be afraid of like something like a little bit more pigmented, then this might be a good shout. I know that like a lot of the younger girls that I follow on Instagram and YouTube, they want it out, like they want the full on eye look. I'm too old for that. And as I said, I have been reaching for this, but only a few shades. I don't think it warrants me picking up an eyeshadow palette like this with how many, like 12 shades, where I'm only going to use maybe 4 regularly. Maybe they should just bring out to 4 shades. Or do Urban Decay, do they still have like the individual eyeshadows? Do you remember them? I just think the formulas need to soften a little bit. I don't want to have to go in with 2 layers of wet stuff. Anyway, the Urban Decay Naked Cyber Palette is away from my neck. If you know, you know. And it's available now. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Do you think you'll be getting this? Or if not, what is your favourite Urban Decay eyeshadow palette? Let me know.